Sudhir, first of all, thank you for kindly agreeing to write the foreword for the book. Grateful for it.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity, DJ. It's the first foreword I've written for a book.
Oh, is it? You've written a book before writing a foreword to a book. I think it'll be nice to explore a couple of things that came along as I was writing the book, but also a couple of things you mentioned in the foreword. I think right at the outset, you talk about G.K. Chesterton's work, Fallacy of Success. And you say that my book is an antithesis to what he reviles. So can you tell the viewers a little bit about that book and how you see my book different from what he talks about?
No, I mean, in the 7th or 8th standard, I remember reading this essay called Fallacy of Success by G.K. Chesterton, where he makes fun of all these books that tell you how to be successful. And, he says, what does it mean to be successful? And he basically, it's a very funny article, so you should kind of read it. And in that sense, your book is a book not on success, but on potential, which is kind of the antithesis of what G.K. Chesterton makes fun of, which is, it's not yet another book to become more successful, but in a sense, it's a book on how to lead a fuller life, how to be kind of happier with what gifts, God has given you, which is kind of the antithesis of what he reviles. I mean, I think G.K. Chesterton would have been very happy with your book, DJ.
Got it. I think there was a lovely line there which says that people who talk about how to be successful aren't even successful at writing good books.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. What did you get out of the book, Sudhir? I know I gave it to you as one of the people to review the book, and you shared your perspectives along the way. But if I had to ask you, what did you get away?
On a personal note, DJ, when we spoke about the book, I think your subtitle at that time was Navigating the Messy Midlife.
Yes.
And like all of us, I'm also going through a messy midlife, and success has nothing to do with it, whether I was successful to the extent that I am, or whether I wasn't successful in somebody else's eyes, I suspect I would still be going through a messy midlife. So what really attracted me to the book actually was your original subtitle, which was Navigating a Messy Midlife.
True.
And I really enjoyed reading this idea of identifying your own potential, kind of looking deep within yourself, because the truth is not just what G.K. Chesterton says, but the truth is, success doesn't necessarily lead to contentment or fulfillment.
True.
I mean, some people who feel in their minds that they're not successful somehow feel that if they become successful, if they become famous, if they become richer, they'd be happier. But I don't think it's broadly true. And I think that was what I really enjoyed about your book.
True. And at least the attempt, Sudhir, is to provide some language to people to be intentional about the multidimensionality of life.
Correct.
And the pulls and pressures therein, right? Whether it's health, whether it's family, whether it's relationships, etc., etc. So I think the other piece you referred to in the foreword is you referred to Henry James's work, Ambassadors, and you referred to a particular quote. Mr. Strether says, I haven't made anything, I'm a failure. To which Miss Costray, I think, says, thank God you're a failure. It's why I distinguish you. Anything else today is too hideous. Tell us more about...
No, Henry James's book, Ambassadors, is very much in the same line of Play to Potential. It's a fictional version of Play to Potential. Because it's about this guy, Strether, who is engaged to a very rich woman. She's a widow. And her son, who is the heir to a big business empire in the US, has gone off to Paris. And everybody in US thinks he's gone off to Paris because it's decadent. He's having a good time. He's having a blast. He'll finish all of that and come back to the US to run the family business. And Strether is sent to bring Chad back. And when he goes, he realizes that Chad has thought about his own life and is playing his life to his full potential. And so rather than Strether kind of convincing Chad to come back, Strether goes back a changed man and convinces Chad's mother that, Chad is leading the right life. It's not a decadent life that he's leading in Paris. He's just leading a life that is true to himself. So the book itself actually is a kind of fictional version of some of the things that you're trying to say. I was quite amused by this quote on failure and success. So I thought I'd put it in the foreword because see, these are all external terms, like
True.
failure and success are terms that others put onto you.
True.
These are not terms that you define for yourself. And Chad is able to define in Ambassadors what being successful and failing for himself is.
Fascinating. I think now that you mention it, another movie which left an impact, made a mark on me on similar lines was a movie called Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Where once again, there's a gifted kid.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that therefore he becomes a NASA scientist or goes to the FBI to crack tough problems. You still have a choice
Yeah.
to do to decide what you want to make out of your life.
But DJ, I think one of the things that I found very interesting about your book is, of course, in Good Will Hunting, the guy is gifted and it's a classic American story and he finds his potential.
Yes.
But 99.9% of us are not gifted. So what does it mean? I mean, but we've all got something we enjoy. We've all got something we play to potential.
True.
So what I liked about your book was that it talks to people, who are type 2s, who are not necessarily, I've forgotten.
Elon Musk was one person I talked about.
Yeah, I mean, in Good Will Hunting, it's not necessarily a talented guy playing to his potential. Also, this thing about, there's this tremendous social pressure on being the best at everything. I don't think it's important to be the best at everything. I just think it's important to be engaged and to be happy at what you're doing.
Very true.
So in that sense, your book kind of
Very true.
talks to a lot of people.
And I think the attempt, Sudhir, also is to very often in corporate circles, at least, we talk about potential as a binary thing, right? Somebody is on a fast track to something or not. But I think sometimes the more meaningful discussion is potential for what? We were talking about children and, some of the other pursuits. So really saying it's not just about accelerating your way through life, but really picking a direction which is meaningful and which leverages what makes you distinctive. So I think having read this, what's your instinct on who might benefit from the Sudhir? If you were a consumer marketing lens.
I think everybody who's above a certain age. I do think that if you're very young, this may or may not be a book that talks to you, or you have to be quite mature if you're young for this book. But anybody who's kind of entering the messy middle age, in their own minds, whatever the world thinks of them, in their own minds, have a feeling of failure like Strether has. Everybody has it. I mean, and this is regardless of what the world thinks of them. So I think for everybody who is entering the messy midlife, I think it's a great book to read. I mean, this type 1, type 2 personality interests me quite a lot. But on hindsight, the book is useful for type 1 also, because type 1 is type 1 in a certain dimension. In some other dimension, there's a consequence of being type 1. So I think anybody of a certain age of a certain age group will enjoy the book.
Lovely. Thank you again, Sudhir, for your collaboration while writing the book, but also for the kind words in the foreword and for making the time for this.
Thanks a lot, DJ.